smooth muscles physiology, and majorly we will be looking into the structure, types, and mechanism of contraction along with its characteristics in case of skeletal muscles. So, smooth muscles fibers are about 1 to 5 micrometer in diameter and 20 to 50 micrometers in length. These fibers may be distinctive from each other in aspects of physical dimensions, organization into bundles, response to different stimuli, characteristic of innovation, and function. So based upon these characters and others, the smooth muscles may be divided into different types. But keeping into mind most of these characteristics, the most widely divided categories of smooth muscle types are multi-unit smooth muscles and unitary smooth muscles. As you can see over here in the images as well, the multi-unit smooth muscles have smooth muscle fibers acting as separate units, present as distinctive muscle fibers, separate from each other, uninucleated, and spindle shape. Whereas unitary smooth muscles, as you can see over here, are connected to each other and arranged in the form of the bundles, have not retained their individual muscle fiber shapes. These are unitary smooth muscles. So if we compare the physical dimensions, the multi-unit smooth muscles discrete, separate smooth muscle fibers and they contract individually, whereas unitary smooth muscles have hundreds and thousands of fibers contracting together. The multi-unit smooth muscles are each fiber independent of each other, whereas unitary smooth muscles have them joined by the gap junctions and they all work as a unit as a syncytium. Multi-unit smooth muscles majorly controlled by the nervous system, whereas the unitary smooth muscles by the non-nervous stimuli. Multi-unit smooth muscles have innervation by individual fiber, each fiber innervated individually for faster contraction, and the muscle fiber junction are in this form, contact junction. Each muscle fiber has its own innervation in direct contact with the neuronal tongue, whereas unitary smooth muscles are innervated by the diffuse manner. We call it diffuse innervation, where the superficial muscle fibers receive the neurotransmitter and they transmit the message to other layers of the muscle fibers via the gap junction, and they have a higher latent period of contraction as compared to the multi-unit smooth muscles. If we have the examples of these, the multi-unit smooth muscles would be those where a rapid and precise activity is required, like ciliary muscles of the eye, iris muscles of the eye, piloerector muscles present at the hair follicles, larger blood vessels, and the smaller airways like alveoli and smaller bronchioles. Whereas the unitary smooth muscles are present in most viscera of the body, including the GIT, the bladder, bile duct, ureter, uterus, and many small blood vessels. If we compare the contractile mechanism of smooth muscle while keeping in mind the skeletal muscles, the actin and myosin is present in the smooth muscles, and actin is 5 times to 10 times more as compared to the myosin, whereas it was twice more in skeletal muscles. It has tropomyosin but no troponin complex. There are no striations, that means there are no sarcomeres and no uniform arrangement of actin and myosin filaments. There are dense bodies in replacement of the Z disc over here. As you can appreciate in this diagram, these blue colored dots, these are the dense bodies. Again, these are providing anchorage to the actin filaments and are the counterparts of the Z disc in the sarcomeres of skeletal muscles. These are either attached to the cell membrane or scattered inside the cytoplasm. These also provide intercellular protein bridges between the adjacent smooth muscle cells and help in transmission of force of contraction between one cell to another. If we compare the arrangement of the actin and myosin in the smooth muscles, first of all, the arrangement is not uniform as that found in the sarcomeres of the skeletal muscles. Also, the arrangement of myosin and actin around each other is different. The cross-bridge orientation in the skeletal muscles was symmetrical and present around the M line, whereas found as bipolar, whereas in smooth muscles it is sidepolar. Let me use another diagram to help you understand the concept of what is bipolar and what is sidepolar. Maybe I can draw this for you. Okay. In case of skeletal muscles, in center was a thick filament, and on both ends, cross bridges were coming in opposite directions, providing attachment to actin filaments on both ends. This is what we call bipolar. Whereas in case of smooth muscle, in center there is myosin and it has side polar attachment. For example, above it, all cross bridges are in this direction, providing attachment to the actin filament, and below this are in opposite direction, providing attachment to the actin filament. So when the cross bridge cycling will occur, actin will move from outside to inside, and this actin will move from outside to inside in this direction and in this direction. This is known as side polar. Whereas in this, both above and downwards, myosin cross bridges were present in both directions. This is what we call bipolar arrangement. Calcium is again stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum, but that is much less developed as compared to the skeletal muscles. Instead of transverse tubules, there are invaginations of the cell membrane which are much smaller, and we call them caveolae. If we compare the general mechanism of smooth muscle contraction, it is having a drastic difference that it relies not only on the sarcoplasmic reticulum calcium but also receives calcium from the extracellular side. Depending upon the stimulus, maybe nervous or non-nervous stimulus when it comes, for example, hormonal, stretch, or any change in the chemical environment, when the calcium enters from either the ECF or sarcoplasmic reticulum or both, what this calcium does, there is no troponin C to bind, rather it binds with another protein, we call that calmodulin. This calcium calmodulin complex, when formed, it activates an inactive protein, myosin light chain kinase, which was meant to phosphorylate myosin. So, in presence of calcium calmodulin complex, this inactivated myosin light chain kinase is activated, and the activated myosin light chain kinase is going to phosphorylate the myosin light chains. Once phosphorylated, these are ready to attach with the actin, and the cross-bridge cycling will start and the muscle contraction will occur. Rest of the cross-bridge cycling mechanism, as we saw in the skeletal muscle, is the same over here. Only the activation is different, which is done chemically over here. Whereas in the skeletal muscles, it was done mechanically by displacement of the tropomyosin. Here it is done chemically by the phosphorylation of myosin light chain. So what happens is calcium influx from either source, calcium binding to calmodulin, activation of myosin light chain kinase, phosphorylation of myosin light chain, myosin binding to actin, and the cross-bridge cycling leads to the contraction. Sources of calcium, mostly extracellular fluid, not only the sarcoplasmic reticulum. That is why there is a larger latent period as the calcium is to be brought upon from outside as well as inside. Relaxation of smooth muscles will occur as soon as the signal is over and calcium is sent back. Again, the calcium will be sent back into sarcoplasmic reticulum via calcium ATPase. Also, it will be sent back to the extracellular fluid by another calcium ATPase on the plasma membrane. Even if the calcium is sent back and there is no more activation of myosin light chain kinase, what to do with the already phosphorylated myosin light chain? We need another enzyme, myosin phosphatase, which will be now dephosphorylating the already phosphorylated myosin light chain. As it will be dephosphorylated, the activation will decrease and interaction of actin myosin will stop and the muscle will relax. This is the summary of mechanism of smooth muscle contraction and relaxation that we have just discussed for your quick review. Another type of distribution of smooth muscle is done into tonic and phasic type of smooth muscle based upon their characteristics of contraction. Tonic smooth muscles are continuously constricted. For example, the smooth muscles of the blood vessels which stay in a state of partial contraction to maintain the blood pressure. Whereas phasic contraction means which occurs when there is an action potential, and this occurs in burst and triggered upon a stimulus. For example, All multi-unit smooth muscles exhibit this type of phasic contraction. For example, the piloerector muscles vary and the iris muscles of the eye. Now that we have seen the mechanics of smooth muscle contraction, let's quickly review the characteristics of smooth muscle contraction. Before I show you one by one, keep in mind 2-3 basic rules. Number one, the myosin ATPase activity of smooth muscles is much slower. When the myosin ATPase activity is much slower, the velocity of attachment and detachment, that is cross-bridge cycling, is again going to be slower. That means the speed of contraction would be less. Duration of contraction would be more. As detachment is less ATP will be used. So this is more energy efficient. And because there is prolonged attachment, this is going to a sustained state of contraction once activated as compared to the skeletal muscles. So it is going to use less energy for more sustained contraction, but at a less speed because of decreased activity of myosin ATPase enzyme. So what I'm going to show you is just the same. There is slow cycling of myosin cross bridges because of low ATPase activity. There is low energy requirement because there is less attachment and detachment of cross bridge cycling. It is more energy efficient as compared to skeletal muscles. Slowness of onset of relaxation and contraction both. Greater maximum force in smooth muscles, and this is explained by the characteristic side polar arrangement of the myosin cross bridges. What happens in the smooth muscle? This is the arrangement and this is the arrangement. When the contraction will occur, what used to occur in the skeletal muscle, after a limit, the actin of both sides started overlapping and there was Z-disc on the both hand, and that was the limiting point after which there would be no more possible overlap of the actin and the myosin filaments. Whereas in case of smooth muscles, there are no Z-discs and the actin filaments are not going to overlap each other. As much as it is contracted, they can completely overlap the myosin filament, leading to more maximum force of contraction as compared to the skeletal muscles, which is 4 to 6 kg per centimeter square, whereas in skeletal muscles, it was maximum 3 to 4 kgs. Now, two more important characteristics of smooth muscle contraction. One, latch mechanism. Another, stress relaxation, on which I'm going to emphasize more. So, what is latch mechanism? Latch mechanisms say that there is a smooth muscle, let's say this. A stimulus came, it contracted the smooth muscle, and then the stimulus was diminished or decreased. It was not completely diminished, but decreased to a minimum extent. Decreased excitatory stimulus after full contraction. Now there is no more heavy excitation. That will lead to a decreased activity of myosin phosphorylase and phosphatase. There will be a slow frequency of cross-bridge cycling, but still there will be a sustained state of contraction because of slow detachment and attachment. So minimum stimulus but sustained tone of contraction, this is known as latch mechanism. And here it's summarized: prolonged contraction with minimal use of energy. It is occasionally going to use an ATP, providing a prolonged state of contraction at minimal state of excitation and very slow cross-bridge cycling. This is called as latch mechanism, and this is what we observe in visceral smooth muscle, a tonic state of contraction for prolonged period of time with minimal consumption of energy. And this is what we have just discussed. Next is the concept of stress relaxation. This is simply the smooth muscles oppose whatever we do. For example, if you stretch a unitary smooth muscle, like filling of the bladder, the visceral smooth muscle of bladder will be stretched. Briefly, there will be rise in tension with an increased pressure in the bladder, but the smooth muscles will soon overcome this and the pressure will return back to normal. This is called as stress relaxation. It was stretched, increased tension, returned back to normal stress relaxation. On the other hand, this is example of stretch. If you contract suddenly a unitary smooth muscle, that will rise in the, there will be a brief period of fall in the tension, and soon the smooth muscles will regain their state of previous contraction. This is known as reverse stress relaxation. So even if you stretch or contract a smooth muscle, it will slowly come back to its original state of contraction, called as stress or reverse stress relaxation. And this is seen on daily basis. For example, in case of urinary bladder, when the bladder walls become stretched because of accumulation of the urine, pressure in the bladder rises, there is urge to micturate. You cannot go for micturition because of some reason. After a while, the tension relaxes and the urge to urinate is diminished. This is because of the stress relaxation mechanism. And what mechanism causes this stress relaxation? Again, the reason behind is the actin-myosin slow interaction. When you suddenly stretched, you tried to break the actin-myosin cross bridges that lead to tension formation, passive increase in tension, but they were slow to break. Later, when they actually detached, the tension became normal. This is how the stress relaxation occurs. Quick review of the qualities of skeletal smooth muscle contraction. Strength of contraction depends upon calcium. The more the calcium, the more the strength of contraction, and more the repetitive excitation, more the calcium and more the strength of contraction. It is subjected to variation by other factors like chemical and hormonal stimuli, which was not in case of skeletal muscles. Range of length, the optimum length over which they develop maximum tension is much greater as compared to skeletal muscle. And again, this is because of the side polar arrangement of actin-myosin. There is stress relaxation response, but there is no clear-cut length-tension relationship. No resting length can be assigned. Smooth muscles are slow, economical, better energy efficiency, slow to contract and relax, slow velocity of cross-bridge cycling. That is why they can sustain tension with minimal energy use, and we also call this latch phenomena. They can use ATP or undergo anaerobic glycolysis in absence of oxygen. However, they do not have any creatine and phosphate storage with them. And that's all about the characteristics of smooth muscle contraction. Thank you very much.